Hi, everybody. We're back. And I have the pleasure of bringing on and introducing Jaron Erickson, who is the founder and CEO of Dojo, a company that helps individuals learn the skills needed to be a top performing salesperson. He's going to talk today about owning your own education, opening up opportunities for your future. We haven't touched on too many sales items today. This would be great to hear from you on this and everything else, Jaron. So take it away.
Sweet. Hey, well, Jeff, thanks for having me. This is such a cool opportunity. I love what you guys have been doing, and anything to like promote education, promote learning. Again, something I'm super passionate about. So this is a pretty cool experience for us. So, well, to everyone who actually listens, one, thank you. This is really cool. But I kind of wanted to maybe give us a little roadmap of like what we want to cover today. So you're like not confused, like where are you going with this? Why are we talking about this? Right. So maybe a couple of things to stay on track a little bit. So I don't have any magic slides to kind of show or follow, but there's definitely a couple of things that I wanted to do. And one was keep it a little bit more personal today. So the things that we want to talk about in regards to education, I feel like education is so personal. And so some of the things that we talk about will be personal experiences I've had, as well as kind of like my own journey, things that I've learned from different leaders, mentors, experiences, things like that. So again, no slides, but we'll kind of give you a little roadmap. But I have two goals, like while we have our time together, two main objectives that I hope you guys can kind of take away. The first is I want us to broaden our definition of education, like what that is, what that looks like, what that feels like. Again, broaden our idea of what education is. That's our first objective. The second objective is as we go through and as you guys, as I'm able to share a couple of thoughts, which is great. I hope that you guys will kind of pay attention to how you feel and some of the thoughts that you have yourselves. Again, this is a big part of learning is like self-education. And so as I'm speaking, if there's anything that you think, that you feel, or that you learn, well, I'd hope that maybe you write it down, like take a note on your phone. But more than that, I hope that you put some type of action in place. Like if we're going to talk about owning our education and there's no type of action taken after we get our time together, I would fail. And so up to you guys. One, our goal is to broaden our education. Two, invite you guys to act in some type of way. So what we'll cover today, I'd love to just kind of share you my background, how we kind of started Dojo, how we started this Own Your Education project. And then I have three different principles about what we can do to kind of take advantage of our education as we start moving forward. So like I said, my name is Jaron Erickson. I'm from Utah, so great place, definitely blowing up. But my experience of kind of starting Dojo started multiple years ago. After I graduated high school, I ended up taking 2 years off and I went and served as a missionary for my church. So I lived in Melbourne over in Australia, and it was an incredible experience. Being able to live with different people, different cultures, it was amazing. After I came back from that experience, I kind of got onto a more traditional educational track where I went to my local university, had scholarships, I picked my major, and I start progressing along this path. And as I was going to school, I started to have some different questions. Some of them were like, what am I going to do for my career? What am I going to study? And other ones like, why am I here? Like, where is this leading me? I don't know if I'm the only person who's ever had those type of thoughts. Maybe everyone else has it figured out, but I just started to trying to figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And so when I don't know what to do, of course, the first person I turn to is probably my dad, like my parents. And I went to my dad with some of these questions, fully expecting him to say, hey, Jerry, you know what? Put your head down. Just knock out these 4 years, get your degree, then you can go get a job, you can work, you can figure things out from there. That's what I was expecting to hear. When I came to my parents, I got a completely different answer. My dad, he was already heavily involved in the tech space. He worked for a software company out of San Francisco called Carta. And so he actually encouraged me. He said, hey, Jerry, like, you don't have to graduate in 4 years. He's like, you can take some time to figure out what you want to do, what you're passionate about, and then come back to school. And all of a sudden that school would have meaning and purpose of helping you get to where you want to be. So all of a sudden I had like this liberating feeling and experience of like, hey, I don't have to stay on this perfect 4-year path that everybody walks. Like, I can expand my educational opportunities. And so I ended up dropping out. It's something I'm actually really proud of. I dropped out for a little bit from school because I didn't know where I was going or why I was there. During that time, I ended up working for a tech company out of Utah called Divvy. They were one of the fastest growing companies in the country. I came in as an entry-level sales rep. And bottom of the totem pole, I had no sales experience. I had no tech experience. I just showed up and said, I'm going to work my butt off. Teach me what I need to know. My time at Divvy was one of the greatest educations I've received thus far. The people and the leadership I was around taught me. They were like my professors. I came in, didn't know very much, but some of the things I began to learn was sales process. Like, I began to understand how the sales cycle worked, how businesses sell to businesses. I began to understand like how to create sequences, how to manage messaging, how to do all this outreach to customers, how to pitch, do all these skills. I even learned like marketing, like, because marketing and sales are so interconnected. I learned what messaging worked, what didn't work, what people wanted to hear, what they wanted to feel. And aside from all that, I even learned how to run a company and how to run a team. I had amazing managers, leaders, and mentors who I would watch and would continue to teach me different leadership skills and abilities. And so I felt like my time at Divvy, I spent 18 months there before they got acquired for $2.5 billion. It was like an education in itself. And so I've been so grateful that my parents gave me the opportunity and opened my perspective that I had different ways to learn and to grow. One of the things that hurts me the most when I talk to individuals that are at school, I actually went back to school after Divvy, so I'm currently still taking classes at Brigham Young University. But one of the things that really hurts me is when people complain about why they're at school. They're like, oh man, I just hate this class. I hate what I'm learning. I'm just going to try to smash through it as fast as I can, get out. Like, that defeats the purpose of why you're there. Right. And I think that's something that sometimes we get trapped in is I go to school to get an education. But one of the things I hope to raise awareness of, and as we talk about these principles, is school and education are two separate entities. You can get education at school, but that's not the only place you can educate yourself. So when people go to school, I hope that we can have the mindset of, letting school work for you instead of you working for school. Right? And if you can go into that type of mentality, and as we talk about learning in all different forms, that is one of the key principles of taking ownership, right? Is letting you work for them, or them working for you, not you working for them, right? So that's kind of how we started like the Own Your Education project. Was I saw that there's so many different ways to learn. Now, what we've done with Dojo is kind of created an opportunity for individuals to come in to learn different sales type of skills and then connect them to high growth tech companies where they can come in as entry-level sales reps and continue to work their way up the ladder, kind of having a similar experience to what I had at Divvy. It's an amazing career path. It's an amazing way to learn, to be mentored and surrounded by great leaders. And that's what we're trying to promote through Dojo is continuous learning, continuous education. But while I have a little bit of time, I want to share 3 principles to kind of help us take ownership of our own personal educations. Those 3 principles are humility, ownership, obviously, and then progression. So with humility, I just wanted to share some of the things that I've been able to learn while we've run the Dojo program. What we've done is our goal is to bring in underserved communities or individuals who maybe haven't gone to college or are looking for other routes of education, bring them into a program and let them learn and grow. One of the things I feel a little bit, maybe you could even say guilty about, is our goal is to teach these individual skills and to help them progress. But as we teach in our courses, I feel like we learn more from them than we could ever give them ourselves. And I think that's one of the biggest principles of being able to own your education, is having humility and understanding that you can learn from anyone. Whether you are managing a team, whether you're the CEO of a company, whether you have a PhD and that you've educated in so many different ways, like Socrates says, the more I learn, the less I know. And that's been a really humbling experience as we've started Dojo, is the more we try to teach individuals skills that will help them progress, the more we have learned as a team that we have so much to learn and that other people have so much to offer, right? So be humble and recognize you don't know everything, and know that you can learn from everyone around you, right? The second principle comes from taking ownership or responsibility of the things you want to learn. One of the things that happen that we've seen happen to a lot of different university students or people just in general is they get put onto a track and they'll follow that track and end up at a place that they don't want to be. That's because they have not been proactive and taken responsibility of what they've learned. They have been taught where to go, been taught what to do, and they've followed that. And they've begun to realize, hey, maybe this isn't where I've wanted to be all along. So I think a perfect example of this comes from one of my good friends, mentors. He's continuing to study at BYU, but he's so passionate about track. He's so passionate about track and field, and he's always wanted to coach. And so what he chose to do is he chose to volunteer at a local track club and help those kids learn and progress in their track and physical activities. He's continuing to go to school, he's continuing to knock things out, but he chose to take ownership of something he wanted to learn. He saw his economics degree was something he really cared about, but more important than that, he wanted to help people learn, grow, and progress. And so what did he do? He took the opportunity to go find a way for him to accomplish what he wanted. Right? Since volunteering at this track team, my friend, he actually has proactively reached out to the local high school and is now the head sprint and hurdle coach over at the high school. And the things that he's done and learned that from that experience, you can see the energy and the excitement as he talks about these things. Right? He's continuing to go to school and educating himself in economics because he feels that's important. But what he's truly, truly passionate about comes from coaching and helping other individuals. And he's taken responsibility over how to make sure those things happen. One of the things that he's done, one of the things I try to do continually is part of our own your education initiative is reaching out and learning from mentors and leaders. So when I was at Divi, the tech company I used to work at, I made an active effort to interview at least one inspiring individual or mentor every single week. I would reach out to them, I'd line up a Zoom call, and I'd take 30 minutes and ask them different questions of things I wanted to know, things that I wanted to learn, perspectives that they had, skills they had, right? My good friend, he's done the same thing with coaching. He wanted to be a coach. So what did he do? He reached out to the best track coaches in Utah. He said, hey, can I get 30 minutes on your calendar? I would love to just pick your brain, ask you a couple questions and see what I can learn. Is that all right? One of the things we found is that mentors love sharing what they know. They want to help you learn what they know. And sometimes it just takes enough proactivity to reach out to them, give them an opportunity to teach you, and then sync up and make it happen. This is something I still try to do. This is something I still have friends try to do, is reach out to mentors, other leaders, and interview them with skills you want to learn, right? Take ownership of what you want to know. The third principle behind humility, ownership, humility and ownership is progression. That's the last thing we wanted to hit on. Is one of the biggest things that we have learned from running our dojo program and curriculum is watching the necessity of individuals needing to progress. Progression is a human characteristic that we need in our lives. And education is one of the most powerful ways for us to progress. One of my favorite definitions of education is internal progression. I really believe that that's what an education is. It is internally progressing in some way, shape, or form, and then using that to help other people, right? And so what we've observed in the dojo program is we've brought in different individuals from all different types of backgrounds, right? Some have been single moms. Some have dropped out of college. Some have been working in fast food or furniture moving and never even went to college, right? We've been able to bring them into a program, teach them the skills they needed to know, and have them become top performing sales reps at tech companies. But the biggest and coolest thing that we've seen through this entire experience is bringing someone in who has low confidence, low self-esteem, and has not progressed in a while. And what we've been able to do is help them find purpose, help them find meaning, and help them see what their potential is moving forward. And when these individuals begin to recognize what their potential is, a light goes off inside of all of them. Once they see where they can be, they will get through anything possible to get there. And the second they start educating themselves again and learning new skills and internally progressing, they take off and they become some of the top performing individuals at these companies. And so I think that's been our biggest takeaway is sometimes we think that you can only obtain education through school, through institutional and things like that. That is something I think is a fallacy. I think it's something that we need to eliminate and understand that education comes through experience, comes through research, comes through interviews, mentors. There's so many different ways to educate ourselves, and that should never stop. I personally believe those who learn the most and educate themselves the most are the most successful, not because they know more than everybody else, but because they're hungry to continue to push themselves to become the best version of who they want to be. And I think that is what the power of education is able to bring. The last thing I just want to share, and then we can kind of close, pass it back to you, Jeff. One of the ways I like to try to learn is reading books. It's like taking the life of an individual, putting it into a couple pages, and I try to reap as much knowledge as I can from them. One of my favorite books is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you're not familiar with Viktor Frankl, he was a prisoner of war in a Nazi concentration camp in Auschwitz, Germany. And he talks about his experience of coming through the concentration camps and things that he learned, things that he observed in different individuals he was surrounded by. And one of the biggest lessons was he saw that those who have meaning in what they do, or a purpose behind what they do, were those who, like in this case, survived and were the most successful overcoming any circumstance. And so I just wanted to read maybe one quick quote from him that comes from his book, because I think this relates to education, ownership, and taking control of what we want to learn and where we want to be. But Viktor Frankl, he says, there's sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing. It says the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance, to choose one's own way, right? And I think that is the key, right? Everything can be taken, everything's going to change, so forth, educational change, you'll have different teachers, instruction, whatever. But the one thing that they can never choose is, or take away, is your choice to accomplish what you hope to accomplish and who you want to become, right? Now, in order to make that happen, there needs to be humility, recognizing that you don't know everything and recognizing that you can learn from everyone, right? The second is you have to take responsibility. You have to be proactive. In order to get to where you want to be, there's not a perfect path all the time that's just going to allow you to walk to where you want to get. Sometimes you have to blaze that trail. Sometimes you have to take a risk in order to learn and educate yourself in the way that you want, and in order to make the impact you hope to in the future, right? And the third thing is we need to progress, right? Like, why do we need to educate ourselves? Because it's internal progression. In order for us to become the person that we hope to be and accomplish what we hope to accomplish and help the lives of others that we hope to help, we have to be the best versions of ourselves internally, which comes through education and internal progression. So what we've done with Dojo, our whole mission, yes, we teach sales training. Yes, we help individuals get great jobs. But yes, we help individuals be on the path to make 6 figures and transform their life. Yes, we love all of that. But the main purpose behind it is to help individuals progress internally. And if we can do that, then everything else, will fall into place. So if you have anything that you've learned today, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and feel free to shoot me a message. Feel free and let me know what you want to do to take a little bit more ownership of your education. I'd be happy to talk to you more about Dojo, what we do. If you're looking to hire any SDRs, sales reps, we love doing that. But yeah, share with me what you hope to accomplish moving forward in your education. And I promise you that if you use those principles, that what you're capable of is limitless, and you can accomplish and become who you want to become. So thank you guys for listening. This was an awesome experience. So
Jaron, it was awesome for everybody, I think. I mean, there's a lot of inspiration packed into 25 minutes. Really appreciate it. No, I mean, you come from a really good place. So many things I have to ask or talk about, but a couple things real briefly. One, the Mentor Project, which is one of the partners that work with this. I mean, that is behind the Young Entrepreneurs of the World, is filled with mentors that want to help and want to do what you're trying to do and what you are doing, and that is help people. And a lot of people, when they get a little bit older, I know a lot of people are a little bit more cynical, but if they hear and see people like you, we feel we're in a better place. So I appreciate that. I think that some of the key takeaways is really, I love what you were talking about with Divi, how you were like interviewing people and to learn from everybody. And you're absolutely right. If you don't want to be in school because it's not the right place for you right at this moment, it doesn't mean you should just kind of drop out and just kind of try to wait and figure out what it is. Do something productive, right? You did something really productive. And if you do something productive and continually educate yourself, you'll be in position to either go back to school in the right frame of mind and get what you want to accomplish, or again, there's no rule that you can't succeed without school, right? But the point is continual education, and by reaching out to others, that's a really big way to get it done. So that was really cool.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Yeah, there's an interesting line between like organized education, which I think is amazing, and then taking ownership, right? Like our mission to own your education is not saying we're anti-school or don't go to school. Like it's more like, hey, why are you there? Like, what are you going to learn? And then, take responsibility for what you want to walk away with. Don't just rely on your professors to teach you everything you wanted to know. Like, go out there, do it yourself, and let them help you get there, right? So I've since gone back to school. I'm still taking classes because I don't know everything, and I feel a lot of value comes through that sphere. And I don't know how long I'll be there, maybe forever, but
no, well, you'll learn somehow forever. And for the parents that are out there, it's understanding that there are other options than than kind of grilling your kids and making sure that they have to go to school right away. There may be a better time for your kids to go to school. I probably could have waited a year before I've gone. I think I probably wasted a year or two trying to figure out why I was there and just getting through the classes, like you had said earlier, just to get through. And I always look back and I always say, I wish I had gone to school a little bit later and been in the mind frame to take in all that they have to offer, which I was not in the position at that time and when I started. So this is really helpful, Jaron. Thanks so much. We will be seeing more of each other, and we'll be in touch.
Well, I love what you guys are doing. So make sure to check out the next presentations and whatnot. But what they're doing with the young entrepreneurs of the world, this whole conference, like Jeff, Stelios, Chad behind the scenes, they are awesome. So thank you guys for being here. Serious.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sharon.
Catch you, Jeff. See ya.